The domino effect of signing players seems to be now sort of taking shape, doesn't it? You do feel that once a sort of deal materialises somewhere else, it seems to lead on to others. Now, when I say that, though, with regards to West Ham, I'm actually referring to the fact that Manchester City's situation within their squad. So Manchester City are strongly linked with a move now for Lucas Paqueta. It actually looks like, it appears that's going to come to fruition. The player wants the move. I actually don't think it's a bad deal for West Ham, but I actually think it's not a bad deal for all parties. The player, no doubt, will want this move, and who could blame him? It's obviously it's a huge shame, but you can't blame the player for that desire to want to go and play for Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, play under Pep Guardiola. And let's be honest, as fans, we've seen a fair bit now of Lucas Paqueta, especially at the tail end of last season, to know that he will fit in probably pretty well at Manchester City. So, yeah, it's going to be a big shame losing him. But I'll tell you what, it does present a good opportunity for West Ham, like it did with Declan in terms of the finances we've now got, but also with City, with the players they've got available. And now we've been heavily linked with a few Man City players. Obviously, Carlos Borges fell through, which was a huge blow, really. You know, I thought he would have been a good player for West Ham with the pace and youth, you know, a bit of excitement. But I think actually what's actually happening now is more exciting. So it appears we've got an update from XWHU employee on the situation. So the reason I talk about the domino effect is because of Man City's situation with regards to their fitness. So Kevin De Bruyne, on the first game of their Premier League season, they won 3-0, wasn't it, at Burnley? Kevin De Bruyne came off early with an injury, and it looks like it's quite a serious one again. So I think it's his hamstring, but it's quite a serious hamstring injury. And you could sense when I don't know if you saw the game, but when you saw the player go off, you could see that he knew straight away it was a problem. And the bench knew it. They knew it was all, City were very aware that it was an issue. So the reports have now come out that he's going to be out for around about 3 to 4 months. So this is now ramping up City's requirement now to go and get a replacement player in. I'm not saying a replacement in, but they're going to get another midfielder in because they're light. And it's going to make the Paqueta situation even more urgent. I actually think that works well in West Ham's favour, let's be honest, because now we can boost up our price a little bit, play a bit hardball there. But apparently it's not just that. West Ham are looking at other players at Manchester City. Now, we've talked about this a little bit previously. Harwood-Bellis is their central defender. And to be honest with you, a player that when we were linked with, I thought this is what we want to be doing. A young, up-and-coming, England under-21 captain. This is what we want. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got no issues when we were linked to Maguire. I mean, apart from the package, I did talk about that. I thought it was a very expensive package. It appears that's probably falling apart at this stage because of the situation Manchester United paying off the player and all this. There's lots of issues going on there. And it appears at the moment, although I'm not quite sold on it, but it appears that West Ham are turning their attention elsewhere. Make of that what you will, but we'll see how that one plays out. But in terms of Harwood-Bellis, it appears West Ham now are looking at a situation where we might be able to take Harwood-Bellis and Cole Palmer as part of the deal with Lucas Paqueta. And the aim is then to get Cole Palmer playing on the right-hand side of the wing and then having Jared Bowen come into as a more striker position. I'm actually really excited by that. I know some fans are a little bit, well, hang on a minute, Bowen's not a striker, not quite sure. But I do think he could operate there as well. But I'd love to have Cole Palmer at West Ham. The only thing that puts me off, the only situation I don't like about dealing with City is I can't stand these buyback clauses a little bit. Not in a terrible sense. Look, what I'm saying is if you've got a player that's really unproven, really not sure, they're not that sure about, but they say, but look, in the future, we'll give you him for 20 million, but we'll pay you back for 60 if he's any good then at one stage. Then you might think, okay, it's a bit of a risk. But Cole Palmer's clearly going to be a very good player. He's always been known as a very, very highly rated player for a long time. In fact, I've got someone I know from used to play for Fulham, and he was telling me that he knew him from a very, very we're talking very young age, and said that he was outstanding then as a young kid and was always going to be a star. And you can kind of see that. I mean, on the Community Shield, he looked amazing. Obviously, scored that brilliant goal against Arsenal. So, a player I think West Ham should be absolutely in for. I think it's an exciting move. Now, X has provided an update on it. I'm just I realise I'm sort of jumping around here a little bit, but I'm going to try and stick to it. So X has provided an update and said that, as we reported before, Kevin De Bruyne has now officially been ruled out for a large period of time. And this now means that Manchester City are going to ramp up, as we've said, their pursuit of Lucas Paqueta. I actually think that suits us. That's what we want. I mean, ideally, I'd rather have left them. I mean, that's my gut feeling. I think Paqueta is going to be awesome this season. I'd rather, if we're going to sell, it be next summer. But as we're saying, it looks like the urgency from City is now ramping up, so I can't see us being able to do that. A higher bid is now due in. So it appears it's going to be around the 90 million mark. I mean, come on. I mean, that is an amazing business considering the fact we spent 50 on him 12 months ago. And let's be honest, he only came good at the end of the season, didn't he, really? The sort of tail end of it. Or maybe the last third, let's be fair. Last third of the season, he was very good. So to get a player that's only played a third of a season looking very good and get, pretty much double your money on him, I think is pretty amazing. So hybrid is due in, and it's being reported that West Ham will consider offers for players coming away in return. Although, sorry, Manchester City will consider offers for players, including Cole Palmer and Taylor Harwood-Bellis. Excellent news for West Ham. I mean, this is exactly what we want to be doing. The thing is with West Ham, we need to bear in mind is, and I'm one of them, I don't want to be that club anymore that keeps going for has-beens and spending big wages on players that they're not that great and had their day, they're past their best. And we've been doing it for so many years. And so for a lot of fans like myself, have been crying out for that sort of, let's go for that sort of Red Bull model. Let's go for the Brentford model. Let's go for the Brighton. Let's go and find these great players and build a young, hungry side. The only drawback you get with that is that sometimes you can't retain players. That's the only issue. It's hard to retain them because if they're players that are going to be superstars, it's very hard. And Paqueta falls into that, doesn't he? A player we've got, all right, it might not be sort of considered a gem that was unknown, but a player we managed to get for, let's be honest, a reasonable fee, £50 million. And now you can see it is because already 12 months later, we're talking nearly double that. That's the only drawback with that model is that it's very hard to retain players. So you can't have it both ways. And I just think that that's the same we need to be with Palmer and Harwood-Bellis. Very young players, but clearly have got a big future ahead of them. And I'm excited by it. Very excited. So it appears that something's going to be happening there. I think that we're going to be... I think it's going to be imminent, really. I think, we're talking we're midway through the week now. We've got Premier League football coming up. You imagine Man City now are going to be soon to launch their bid for Paqueta. I imagine this is going to be the bid that probably gets over the line because they know now what West Ham are expecting, which is that 85, 90 million pound mark, which I think they've got, let's be honest, they've got the money to spend and I'm sure they will. But I like the fact that, Cole Palmer. I'd like to know what fans think of this, though. What are your thoughts on it? And what's your thoughts on the Bowen situation? Do you agree that what Moyes is saying? Because Moyes is saying this now. It's not a case of just rumours. The manager has said he will be looking to play Jarrod Bowen more as a striker this season, looking to change his position. He's done it before. He's done it with Arnautovic, done it with Antonio, and let's be honest, it's worked. It excites me actually. I don't, and by the way, that doesn't mean we're not getting a striker. We've got more reports coming out with this. It's hitting all the time at the moment, but we're in for other strikers. So, but at the moment, Manchester City, it does appear that a deal is going to happen for Paqueta. And I'll tell you what, if we can get Harwood-Bellis and Cole Palmer as deal, that is a fantastic agreement for West Ham.